It's Brian Preston, the Money Guy.
Brian, let's kind of jump in with the first one. I think this one is like super relevant right now because out there on social media, it is not hard to find someone telling you how you should be impacting your wage. I mean, we know that right now, presently, inflation is taking place. And in most areas, it seems like the cost of goods is increasing faster than the cause of wages. And so that's causing some pain, some turmoil. And a lot of folks out on social media have a suggestion for you. They're telling you how to solve this, how to go out and fix this problem.
Well, yeah, a lot of people are saying, hey, go ask for a raise right now because there's wanted job postings everywhere. Go ask for a raise. We wanted to kind of jump into this and tell you the right way and the wrong way to do things.
So with that, we went on TikTok, we found this video, and this is what one gentleman says that you ought to do. If you're worried that you are thinking that you are underpaid, this should be what you do.
You should leave where you are right now and go into your boss's office and tell him you want a pay raise today, or you're going to quit your job and go find somewhere else to work.
Ultimatum.
Now, I know that sounds crazy, but the reason why most people are not going to do that is because they don't understand this very simple thing that I am about to share. If I asked you how much money you make on your job, you could tell me. But if I ask you how much money do you make for the company, could you tell me? The reason why you're not going to go ask for a pay raise, or most people won't, is because they can't quantify their worth. They don't know their value. But if you knew that you made the company $1 million a year, you wouldn't settle for $12 or $15 an hour. You would settle for a lot more money. Ask for the.
So this is basically what he said. He said you should march into your boss, march into your employer and say, hey, right now, today, give me a pay raise or else I'm going to leave.
That gives me a little pause because it's just I always think about the golden rule. Treat others like you want to be treated. I have found when you go in with force, sometimes instead of getting capitulation or somebody saying, yeah, I agree with you, people actually dig in and actually give you, they meet force with the equal amount of force. And that's just not a good situation. So let's go ahead and talk about what not to do and what to do, because I put ultimatums as definitely something that you're going to see it fall on one of these lists.
Yeah. So here's sort of the first thing to do. When you're thinking about your compensation and your pay, here's something not to do. Don't assume right off the bat that you are indeed underpaid, because there's a chance that you may not be. There was a survey done, and what they found is that most folks feel like they're underpaid. And what I think is really interesting about the chart on here is 100% of the respondents that were proven to be paid above market value for the position that they had. Of that 100% of respondents, even 35% of those folks felt like they were underpaid for the position in which they were operating.
Well, think about it. I mean, because we've seen the data behind this. The column, each one of these columns, paid above market, paid below market. Each one of these is 100% of the answers. And I thought it was interesting. The paid above market, only 21% felt like they were making above market. That means that 79%, even though they're being overpaid, felt like that they were behind. I mean, that shows you a bias right there. Same thing. People who paid truly market value, 64% said that they're underpaid. And then it carries over. So this ties back to, and we're going to talk about on the do column, what you should be working on in the background. You better do your research. Do your homework before you create a very uncomfortable situation with your employer.
Yeah, I think it's human nature. We all feel like perhaps we're more valuable than we are being recognized for. But what's beautiful is there are resources that you can use. If you don't trust your emotions or trust your instincts, and I would even be careful trusting your peers, because sometimes hearing what they're making may not actually be the truth. It may not be reality, but you can go out and look on the Bureau of Labor Statistics and you can find wage data by area of the country as well as by occupation. You can go out on Glassdoor and look for reviews on compensation. And then for tech employees specifically, there's actually a resource called Blind where you can go go out and see what people are being compensated for similar type roles. So if you are someone who has a feeling that perhaps you're underpaid, go do your research to equip yourself well before you just make that assumption.
And this is just to confirm something I've already kind of nudged on, is don't create that ultimatum. I mean, because as I've already shared, you're going to, if you come in with force, you will be greeted with force. And that's just not the way you get to compromise. That's not the way you get to happiness. Don't create an ultimatum situation.
And, we've had this experience happen in the past, right? Where we've had someone, we've had people try this in different avenues in different areas, try to do this, say, hey, I want you to do this or else I'm going to do this. Well, one of the problems that you run into, as we've seen it with clients and other folks, is that there's a chance, while you may think it's a small chance, they may choose the other option. You may say, hey, I want this or I'm going to quit. And your employer may say to you, okay, well, that's, we'll go ahead and accept this as your resignation. And then you're kind of stuck where you have to figure something else out. So there's probably a better way to do that. But before we get on the what to do's, another thing to remember when it comes to your job is don't only think about the money. Obviously, money and compensation and wage is going to be a huge factor in whether you take a job or whether you stay in your current role, but don't make it the only factor you consider. You should think about things like your overall general happiness. You should think about the office culture. Do you have work-life balance? Perks that may not show up on your W-2. And Brian, you have some personal experience with this where you've made financial decisions in the past for job opportunities that were perhaps different than the cultural opportunities that maybe would have had more value.
Well, also, and I think about it from a leadership standpoint, when I was, in public office back in Georgia, it made me so sad when I saw police officers leaving. They had paid pensions, or no, actually, because the pension was 5-year waiting period. And I remember seeing people who were leaving after 4 years of service for $1,500, $2,000 in another municipality. And I was like, they're walking away from a pension, being vested in the pension by just being there another 2 to 3 months. You need to really pay attention. Bo already said it. Happiness means a lot. Pay attention to the benefits. Also, opportunity. Yeah. Do you know what breaks my heart is we've had people we've offered positions to, and you find out they took another opportunity somewhere else for $1,000 or $2,000, and they're going to hit the ceiling within 2 to 3 years, whereas they have a full career trajectory somewhere else, including what we've looked at. Pay attention to that stuff. It matters. And that's probably a good pivot point to now talk about what to do.
Sure. So here's the first thing. Communication makes a lot of sense. Don't walk in with an ultimatum, because with an ultimatum, you have already had the entire conversation in your mind. You've already said, this is what I'm going to say. This is going to be the outcome. This is how it's going to play out. Well, you didn't give the other party an opportunity to participate in that conversation, so there's a really good chance you're not setting yourself up for long-term success.
Well, I went and watched way too many Instagram and TikTok videos on this. And the few that, there were some out there giving good advice. And here's something that was pretty consistent was if you are happy with your employer, if you love your job, go tell your employer, hey, I absolutely love where I'm at. I just would love to talk with you about what are things going to look like in 3 to 5 years? What are the opportunities? What are things that I need to be doing in the background to help me get there? There is nothing wrong with putting, you asked earlier, a spoonful of sugar definitely helps with all these type of relationships, communication. Just be open with your employer about what you're thinking. That's going to work so much better than an ultimatum will.
Even 82% of respondents to the earlier survey who knew that they were being underpaid for their position, but their employer communicated it to them why. Perhaps it was an opportunity thing, perhaps it was a flexibility thing. They were still satisfied and happy with their work. However, employees who were paid at the favorable wage or paid above market, if the line of communication was not open, they were still not satisfied with their work. So money alone won't solve the problem. Just getting the higher pay, just getting the higher compensation often isn't the thing that makes the employee, that makes you feel valuable. You want to have the communication around what your career trajectory looks like, what opportunities are present, and how valuable you are to the organization. Am I doing a good job? Am I doing a poor job? How can I improve? So if you can have those constructive conversations with your employer, you may be amazed to find the money has a way of showing up.
Yeah, and that's also a good segue into what I like to say, good communication leads to also creating win-win scenarios, Bo. And I want to give you a compliment. I like to call you the Brian Whisperer because, you and I have worked together for a long time, and it's one of those things where you were employed, but now you're business partner with me, where we own businesses together, multiple things. And I think that the thing that you always did so well is when you were doing your Jedi mind tricks to get more economic opportunity for yourself, you were always presenting it in a way that how could it also benefit my businesses? Or how could me giving you more responsibility or you take on this extra project, it was actually going to make the organization better. It really was a win-win. So it was in a positive way. And Dale Carnegie would have loved this because it was not only helping yourself, but it was helping the organization. Who can get mad at that when you have a win-win situation? So much of the advice I found out there on social media was basically all about you, and you are not the son. I think that is important to understand, no matter if you're talking about relationships with spouses, with children, as well as with your employer. You are not the son of this universe, so you have to figure out how everybody's working together and you create that win-win situation.
Yeah, I think if you're in a current role and you're trying to figure out how you can go out and make more money, I would learn how to be what I call a problem seeker in your organization. Whether it's a small business or a giant organization, go find what problem they have. Is there a problem with a vendor that you can't get reconciled? Is there some software issue? Is there some operational issue? What's something you can lean into? And then go ask your employer, hey, I notice we keep having this issue. I would love to be able to take on the responsibility to see if I can't solve this for the organization. Would you be okay if I do that? Here's how I think I'm going to attack and approach it. Do that, add value to the organization, create a win for the employer, and then it's really easy to say, hey, just, I've done this thing and I've taken on this responsibility and we solved this problem. How would you feel about an additional title or additional pay raise or whatever that thing may be for that value that you've added? And I think that's a huge, huge win-win scenario.
I've already kind of alluded to the fact we have businesses together. I think it'd be crazy not to use this platform to tell everybody, hey, we're always growing the team here. So if you don't go check out, you can go to Abound Wealth. We have a whole careers section here where you can check out where we do have 3 positions currently available. Go check it out. You never know. We have had so many employees come from team members become from the Money Guy show. Just like we get prospects, we also get, Abound Wealth and Money Guy employees directly from the family as well.
I love it. Go to aboundwealth.com and you can check on the Work With Us career or the team careers page. You can go to Money Guy and see that as well.